Well, this morning we're going to turn to John chapter 9. John chapter 9. And honestly, the story that we're going to work with this morning goes all the way through verse 41, but it's a big story. So I'm going to read verses 1 through 7 to you, and then I'll walk you through the rest as we begin to move through the story, okay? We'll unfold as we go through. But let's just start with verses 1 through 7 and set the scene here for what's happening. As Jesus went along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" "Neither this man nor his parents sinned," said Jesus, "but this happened so that the work of God might be displayed in his life. As long as it is day, we must do the work of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world." Having said this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with the saliva, and put it on the man's eyes. "Go," he told him, "wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. So the man went and washed and came home seeing. Well, as we come to this passage in John chapter 9, we enter into a long argument, if you will, into a long collision between Jesus and the Pharisees that's going on in John. It starts all the way back in chapter 6. Jesus feeds the 5,000. Remember, he's preaching on the mountain, and lots come and they gather together. 5,000 men, plus women and children, so a lot more than 5,000. And Jesus feeds them. Remember the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And he's able to feed everyone, and then there are baskets of food left over, and they collect that up. And then Jesus sends the disciples out onto the water, and then he walks to them on the water at night, and then he speaks to them about being the bread of life. "I am the bread of life," he says, right? And then he goes on and he continues to talk about what it means for him to be the bread of life, that that his body and his blood are poured out, and that in him comes life. And people don't understand what he's talking about, and people begin to fall away. And then Jesus begins to teach in chapter 7 at the Feast of Tabernacles. And his teaching is so amazing, and the things that he has to say with such authority impress the crowds. And people begin to wonder, is Jesus the Christ? And they begin to spread rumors and ask questions, and they begin to think about what's going on, and they begin to wonder if Jesus is the one that they have long awaited for. Now, as the rumors begin to spread that Jesus could be the Christ, you might imagine the Pharisees are not really happy with that, okay? They're not really happy with Jesus. You see, Jesus kind of bucks their system. The Pharisees are interested in finding righteousness through the law. All right, they have set out 613 laws that people are to abide by to fulfill righteousness. Now, nobody is living up to these things, okay? The Pharisees look pretty good in this system, but everybody else doesn't look so good. It puts them on the top, okay? And they look pretty good in the system, but everyone else isn't doing very well. And it's a difficult system for them to follow. And Jesus really isn't joining up with them. Jesus isn't on their side. Jesus keeps bending the rules. Jesus keeps, eating and not washing his hands, and he's plucking grain when he's not supposed to be, and he's doing things that they aren't really happy with. And as much as they try, Jesus keeps making them look bad in public. He keeps taking away honor from them, and they get publicly shamed. And Jesus is gathering more and more followers, and the Pharisees are not happy about this. So one day they hatch a plan in John chapter 8, and they find a woman. They catch her in adultery, and they drag her out before Jesus, and they bring her before him. And as they throw her on the ground in front of him, they're hoping to trap Jesus in the law. All right? They've brought her out, and they say, "Jesus, the law says that we should stone such women. What do you say?" You see, they're hoping that if Jesus says stone her, that the people will turn against him. that they will see that as something mean and evil, and that they'll turn against Jesus. And they hope that if Jesus says, don't stone her, that the people will realize that Jesus doesn't really follow the law, that he's against the law, and then the people will turn against him. It's a lose-lose. That's what they're trying to set Jesus up in. They're trying to turn the people away from him. And so they throw her on the ground. What do you say, Jesus? And if you recall, Jesus bends down, and he begins to write in the dirt, and he takes his time. And he speaks, and he says, okay, the one who is without sin, let him cast the first stone. And Jesus bends back down and he begins to write in the dirt again. And slowly, those who dragged the woman before Jesus begin to fall away. And they go home. And finally, Jesus is left standing there with the woman alone. And he says, has no one condemned you? No, she says, no one, sir. Then neither do I condemn you. Go, leave your life of sin. And so he sends her on the way with the opportunity to change, with the encouragement to find a new way in life, and to be in relationship, and to learn what it is to follow after Christ. And so then people begin, the Pharisees are really angry at this point, all right? They're really angry. And they begin to press against Jesus and against his testimony. And Jesus says, I am, in chapter 8, the light of the world. In verse 12 of chapter 8, right after the woman is sent on her way, Jesus speaks again and says, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. And the Pharisees push back against him. And they say, look, you're telling us about yourself, but you're just you. We don't know where you come from. We don't know how. Your testimony means nothing. You're just you, saying who you are. Why should we believe you? And Jesus begins to explain to them that he is the only one who has been above. He's the only one who's been in heaven. He's the only one who's been there from the beginning, and he's the only one who knows where he's going. And that he is in relationship with the Father, and that the Father bears witness with him. All right? The Father God bears witness with Jesus. And so he begins to try to explain this to him. And he says, look, the Father is a witness. I am a witness about myself. And therefore, according to your law, it counts. And he begins to unfold for them and to try to explain to them who he is and where he comes from. He says, if you knew the Father, if you knew me, you would know the Father also. And he tries to help them understand. And finally, as he's talking to them, they make the argument that they are children of Abraham, okay? We're children of Abraham, and we know the Father, right? We're children of the covenant. We're Israelites. We're circumcised. We follow the law. We're children of Abraham. We are in relationship with the Father. We don't know who you are, and we don't know what you're up to, right? We're children of Abraham. And as Jesus begins to press back, he says, if you were the children of Abraham, you would know who I was, and you would know the Father. And we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't need to have this. You would know the truth. He says, no, you're not children of Abraham. He calls them children of the devil. Now this really makes them angry. You can imagine the Pharisees as they're standing with Jesus having this conversation, and they've pressed on him about the law and about witnesses, and he's come back about that. And they've claimed to be children of Abraham and to be above him, and he's pushed back about that. And as he's talking to them, he claims that he has the authority and begins to call them children of the devil. All right? Now, this is not okay. They're getting really, really angry about this. And Jesus, as he's talking, he says, I know Abraham. He says, I was before Abraham. I know Abraham looked forward to seeing the things that you see. Jesus understood that he was the Messiah. He understood that he was the Christ, the one that they had long awaited. He said, Abraham longed to see these days when I would be with you. And when Abraham knew that they were coming, when he knew the Father was sending me, Abraham was excited. You see, I know Abraham. And they say, you're not even 50 years old. How do you know Abraham? And he says, before Abraham was, I am. I am. Though that little phrase that for the Hebrews was the name of God as he had revealed himself to Moses in the burning bush. I am. Before Abraham was, I am. And in those moments, they began to realize that Jesus wasn't just claiming to be a prophet from God, but Jesus was claiming to be from God, to be of God, to be at this moment on the same level as God. And they did not understand him as in that relationship of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. They didn't understand what he was saying. They just knew that he was claiming to be God, and they were angry. And they picked up stones, and they were ready to kill him on the spot. And Jesus escaped through the crowds. This is the moment where Jesus encounters the man who's been born blind. Okay? The Pharisees are angry with Jesus. They have just tried to stone the man, and in all the confusion, he managed to slip through the crowd. He has embarrassed them. He has bucked their laws. He has called them children of the devil and of darkness. And then Jesus encounters the man who's been born blind. And as he's walking along and he sees this man who's been blind from birth, the disciples look at him. And you see there's an understanding in Scripture in the Old Testament, in Exodus chapter 20, in Deuteronomy chapter, I think it's 5 verse 9. There's an understanding in the Old Testament that when someone experiences a physical malady, whether that's blindness or unable to speak or unable to hear or unable to walk from birth, that comes from their parents. It comes from the sin of their parents. It comes from someone before them and passing down sin through their line. And in Ezekiel 18, he begins to redefine that. And Ezekiel says, okay, it's not from the fathers, but it's for something that they did. And so then the assumption becomes, well, it's something that they did in the womb, a sin that they've committed. And so there are a couple of thought processes running around out there theologically for the Jews. Either something their parents or grandparents or great-grandparents did that's been passed down through their generations of sin, or something that the child did in the womb that was sinful, but there is sin involved when there's a physical malady like this. It was understood in the ancient world, in general for the Jews, that if there was a physical malady, it was because someone sinned against the Lord. And so the disciples look at him and they say, who sinned, this man or his parents? You see, they're unpacking, they're trying to figure out, how does this work and what is this all about? And Jesus says, look, it wasn't his parents. And it wasn't him. This isn't about sin. Jesus says, this man was born blind. The malady that's in his life, the thing that is the result of brokenness in this world, this thing is going to bring glory to God's name. He says, you're going to learn something. You're going to see something amazing. You're going to learn about God's grace and God's glory through this man. This man who had never been able to see, who'd been lost in the world of darkness, who'd been cut off from the temple, as he would have been at that time, who would have been held on the edges of his community, who would have been separated and held as an outcast, held on the cusp of everything. And the darkness of the world was about to meet the light of the world. So Jesus reaches down in the mud, and he puts mud on his fingers, and he spits on his fingers. And he begins to knead that together. And he makes mud, and he reaches out, and he puts it on the eyes of the man who cannot see. And then he sends him to the pool of Siloam, which means sent, John tells us. He sends him, the one who was sent from the Father as the light of the world, sends this man to the pool of Siloam, the pool of sentness. Because he's got a job. He's going to send him out with a message. Sends him to the pool of Siloam and tells him to wash. And when he does, he's able to see. All right. So the man regains his sight. All right. He can physically see. And as the neighbors and friends and those around begin to recognize him as the man who'd been born blind, and now that he can see, they begin to ask questions. Isn't this the guy who was begging? Isn't this the man who was born blind? No. That can't be him. It's just somebody who looks like him. And he keeps insisting, no, I'm the one. I'm the man. I was born blind, and now I can see. And how can this be? how is it that you can see? And he says, well, look, there's a guy named Jesus. He picked up some dirt off the ground, and I heard him spit. And then he put it on my eyes, and he told me to go to Siloam and wash it off. And so I went, and then I could see. Well, where is this man? They asked. And he said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where he is. I just know that I couldn't see. And then I met Jesus, and now I can see. That's what I know. I don't know where he is. So they took the man who'd been born blind. You see, in order to be shown to be clean, he would have to go to the temple. But they bring him to the Pharisees there. And they tell him about Jesus and how Jesus had made the mud and opened the man's eyes. And here's where the Pharisees see another opportunity. They're going to get it. You see, Jesus broke the law to heal this man. It's against the law. It's against one of the 39 prohibitions on the Sabbath for you to knead. And so the Pharisees are going to take this action of Jesus of bending down and taking dirt, spitting on his fingers, and making mud. They're going to call that kneading. Okay? Like, they're really reaching here. But they are really angry. So they're going to say, okay, Jesus, he made mud. That's kneading. He broke the law. All right, we're going to go after him because he did this on the Sabbath. And so they begin to talk to the man. They want to get their story straight. So the Pharisees begin to talk to him and say, okay, this guy isn't from God, man. All right, I know you can see, but this is not from God. This man can't possibly be from God because he doesn't keep the Sabbath. If he doesn't keep the law, he can't possibly be from God. And they begin to say, well, how can a man who's a sinner do such miraculous things? And so they turn to the man and they say, what do you have to say? It was your eyes that were open. What do you think? And he says, I believe that he's a prophet. Well, they still don't believe. And they're still angry. And so they call the man's parents in and say, what do you say? Now, the man's parents know that if they say that he's a prophet, or if they claim that he's the Messiah, or they claim that he's from God, they're going to get cast out of the synagogue. And so they take the easy. They say, you know what? He's of age. He's a man. Let him testify for himself. He can, he can speak for himself. We don't want any part of this. And so they abandon him. And they leave. So they call the man again. He says, give glory to God. We know this man is a sinner. Call him a sinner. He says, whether he's a sinner or not, I can't tell you. One thing I know is I was blind, but now I see. And they ask him again, how did he open your eyes? What did he do to you? And he says, do you want to be a disciple too? I already told you what happened. Why do you want me to tell you again? Do you want to be a disciple of Jesus? And they get angry at this point. And they're hurling insults at him. He says, we are disciples of Moses. We know that God spoke to Moses, but this fellow, we don't know about him. And the man who's been made to see says, you don't know where he comes from. And he opened my eyes. We know that God doesn't listen to sinners, he says. He listens to the godly man who does his will. Nobody's ever heard of opening the eyes of a man born blind. Now, there were other people at this time running around doing miracles. People who could do crazy things, amazing things. But nobody could open the eyes of a man who was born blind. Nobody could do that. He must be from God. And the Pharisees, unable to accept this explanation, say, you were steeped in sin at birth. How dare you lecture us? And they throw him out of the temple. Jesus hears that he's been thrown out. And he goes to the man, who, by the way, has never seen him, remember? He was still blind when he left Jesus. He's never seen him. So Jesus comes to him and says, do you believe in the Son of Man? Who is he, sir? Tell me, so that I may believe in him. And Jesus said, you've now seen him. You've seen him. You're looking at his face. You who were born blind have seen him. He's the one speaking with you. The man says, Lord, I believe. I believe. And he fell down and he worshipped him. Jesus said, for judgment I have come into the world, so that the blind will see, and those who see will become blind. And some of the Pharisees who were with him and heard what he was saying said, what? Are we blind too? And Jesus says, if you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin, but now that you claim you can see, your guilt remains. You see, Jesus, as he comes to this man who's been blind from birth, this man who's been in darkness, he begins to reveal what it is to walk in the light. You see, he takes the man and he allows him to see, but that's not what truly brings him into the light. As he begins his journey, as he's able to see, you get to watch him as he comes to know Jesus Christ. They say, where is this man? He says, I don't know. Who is this man? I don't know what he looks like. I just know that I went after he put the mud on my eyes and I washed it off in the pool of Siloam where he sent me, the pool of sentness. And now I can see. And I'm telling you what happened to me. I'm telling you what happened to me. He tells his story to them. And as he tells his story, the man who was caught in darkness, and he moves from, I don't know who he is, to now I've seen him face to face. And I know that he's from God because no one can do what he does unless he's from God. He must be from God. You see, I am the fruit of his actions. I am the fruit of who he is. He must be from God because all I know is I couldn't see, and now I see. And as he encounters Jesus, and he sees Jesus, and he looks into his face for the first time, and as Jesus speaks to him, he says, Lord, I believe. And he steps into light. He steps into the light of life. Lord, I believe, and he falls down, and he worships him. And the Pharisees, who are caught in anger, and they're caught and they're stuck in the darkness of their own anger as they watch Jesus and all that he's doing. And they hear him called the Christ. And they're frustrated by the fact that he won't fall in line with the law and he won't do what they believe is right and true. Caught in the darkness of their anger, they cannot see through it. And as Jesus speaks to them, and they claim to see, they claim to understand, they claim to know who he is, he says, if you claimed blindness, if you said, I don't know, right? If you didn't know, if you were open to understanding, if you could recognize that you were in darkness and you needed light, then I could open your eyes and you can see. But since you claim to see, you have to remain in darkness. You have to remain blind. And in the darkness of this world. In John chapter 3, John writes, and he says, light has come into the world, but men love darkness instead of light. They didn't want to step into the light. They wanted to stay in the darkness because if they stepped into the light, their evil deeds would be exposed. You see, to step into the light of God means to say, you know what, I'm a sinner. I'm broken. I can't do it on my own. I can't get there on my own righteousness. I can't make myself okay with God. I can't stop my sinful nature. I can't do it on my own. To step into the light means to say, you know what? This is broken. We broke it. We're part of the broken system. And I can't bring myself into the light. But for some of us, that's hard. It's hard to step into the light because it means admitting. It means coming to a place of humility. It means coming to a place of vulnerability. It means admitting that we need God. And then John goes on to say, but for those who will step into the light, for those who believe, for those who accept God's love and his grace, for those who come into the light, it is seen plainly that what has been done in them has been done by God. The man who was born blind, who went and in obedience washed his eyes, who was sent out to tell his story, says, I don't know how it happens. I don't know all the details. I just know I once was blind and now I see. All I know is I once was lost in darkness, but now I've met the light of life. All I know is once I was cut off, and once I was lost, and once I couldn't be in a relationship, and once I couldn't overcome the darkness on my own. But now I see. Now I see clearly, and I'm not just talking about with my eyes. You see, I've met the light of life, the Lord, and I've chosen to believe.
Amen.
I've chosen for myself. I want to see. There are those of us who today, and I would argue that every one of us, comes with a little bit of darkness in our world to this place. Every one of us comes with something in us that is lost, something in us that hasn't fully surrendered, something in us that's still struggling. Even if we know Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, there are still places in us that need to grow. There are still places in us that hurt. There are still places, as long as we're part of this broken world, that are still a little bit broken and still in darkness. And so here's what I want you to do. For just a moment, I want you to close your eyes and cover your eyes and block out as much light as you possibly can. And I want you to reflect for just a moment. I want you to think. Think honestly. You don't have to say this out loud. You don't have to tell anyone about it. But I want you to think about where there are dark places in your life. Places where it's broken. Places where maybe sin has crept in. Places where this world is broken and there are things beyond your control and darkness has crept in. And maybe it's not your fault, and maybe it's not a part of anything bad that you've done. It's just brokenness in your world, and it's darkness because this world is broken. Think of those dark places. And what would it look like? What would it look like today to meet the light of the world? As you open your eyes, as you uncover your eyes, what does it look like today for light to shine into that darkness? What does it look like today for Jesus to come into that place and to give healing? The truth is, in this broken world, we don't always find the physical healing we might desire. And we don't always find the things that we might desire. And we don't always, the outcome is not always what we want. But that's not what having the light of life means. The light of life is what we came back to in chapter 8 when Jesus said, I am the bread of life. And whoever eats of this bread will never experience death. Right? They'll never see death. The stepping into the light means that the light of the world shines into us. And that the hope of God is that if we know Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, if we accept his death and resurrection for us, then we come to a place where we have eternal life. Where we live forever in the presence of the light of God. That we live forever with him in perfection, where we never grow old. Where we're never given to the brokenness of this world, but we're made in perfection. There are places in this world where we have darkness. And there are people in this world who are lost in darkness. People who are blind to the hope of God's love and God's salvation. And sometimes they're so lost they can't even begin to see the light. But they're hungry for it. There are a lot of people in this world who are hungry for light. They're hungry to see. Have you ever been in a cave? Have you ever been on one of those cave expeditions where they take you underground and you're down in the cave and then they shut off all the lights? Have you ever done that? And in those moments, your eyes, you can physically feel them getting bigger. As you're trying, your eyes are hungry for light. You look around you and you begin to move your head and your eyes are searching for just the tiniest little light, but it is not there. It's not there. It is utter darkness. Friends, there are people in this world who are in utter darkness and their eyes are hungry for light. Their hearts are hungry for light and they need you to light up that candle. You are the light of the world, Jesus says. A city on a hill. And you don't cover up the light in the house. You put it on a pedestal so that it can shine. You are the light of the world. Go and shine in the darkness. They are hungry for it. They're starving for it. Friends, God loves us, and he sends his light for us. Step into the light, that it may be seen plainly, that what has been done in you has been done by God. Share the light with the world around you. Let's pray together. Holy God, we thank you that you are a God who loves us. We thank you that you are a God who heals. We thank you that you are a God who meets us in our places of need, who steps down into the darkness, Lord, to bring us the light of salvation, the light of life. And God, we ask that in the places of darkness that are in us, whether those places of darkness are a result of things that we've done wrong, or if those are the result of things we have no control over, whatever those places of darkness are, God, that you would send your spirit of light into us. Lord, that you would allow us, that you would help us, that you would strengthen us, Lord, to give up those places of darkness to you, and that we would allow light to fill them. And that we would take that light to the world around us, that it may be seen that what you have done in us. God, there is a world full of darkness. Lord, help us to be your lights, to shine to the world. Be with us as we go from this place. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Friends, this morning I want to invite you that if you're in a place full of darkness and you need light, to come. Whether you've never met Jesus Christ, whether you've never known him as your Lord and Savior, his Spirit moves you, come. If you're here and you just need prayer in the darkness, come that we might pray together. If you're excited about what's going on here and you want to put your membership here, come. We're going to stand together and sing a couple of verses of Open My Eyes That I May See. If you don't come now, come later. Find me later and we'll pray together. But let's stand and sing, Open My Eyes That I May See.